Okay, this brings us to our fourth topic in the series. Let's talk a little bit about the sales trap. Crushing it for clients, but then guess what? Neglecting yourself, right? High performance, you can't coexist with depletion. So this is going to be dangerous in the long term. How do you stop masking how you're feeling to avoid potential, burnout? I know that this is something that I always try to pay attention to, and you could see it. Sometimes I can see it, sometimes you don't see it because somebody is so great at hiding it. But you need to like be aware of warning signs. If people are not as enthusiastic as they normally are in the weekly sales meeting, if they are starting to get a little sloppier in their CRM updates, you start picking up little nuances. Now, could it be that they're just over busy, or is it a sign that they're really burning out? What do you think, Ashley?
I think it could be anything, right? And the key is to notice exactly what you said. And to notice a change is really what you're saying, Anna, because that change could be, an acceleration, it could be a deceleration, but it's a change nonetheless. And we tend to, as humans, but especially high performers and folks in sales roles, we are problem solvers. And so when we notice a change, our tendency is to be like, okay, there's a problem and I gotta figure out the solution. And we bypass this really big part of the equation, which is finding out from the person themselves what's actually contributing to that change. And that's where curiosity comes into play. So I love that tip of yours of really paying attention. And it speaks to why it's so important for leaders to invest the time and energy into getting to know their team. On a personal level, so that you can feel those nuances when there is a little bit of disengagement, when there is a little bit of like maybe there's a hypervigilance that you're now noticing that didn't exist before. You're not going to notice that if you haven't taken the time to really build genuine relationships with the people on your team. And then when you do notice them, resist the urge to make up the story of like what it is, because that's our problem solver coming into play, where we're like, oh, I bet they're this. Ooh, I bet it's about this. Instead of doing that and spinning your wheels, which is energy on your part, go to them and get curious and say, I've noticed XYZ. Might be nothing, but I'd love to hear from you, like what you're seeing, and have that two-way conversation and make it a partnership effort to figure out. Because a lot of times, people, especially sales folks who are like fast, 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 we don't even know what's going on, right? Like people don't recognize right away, oh, I am completely depleted. I am spending so much time, energy, and focus on everybody else, on my prospects, on my clients, on my family, on my team. Like I'm spending so much time on everybody else and zero time on myself. It's a balance. Like we need to be focused on our work and on our prospects and clients, but we also need to be focused on ourselves because, to your point, we're going to run out if we don't fill our own cup and feed into our own kind of battery, if you will. And so it's, yes, from a leadership standpoint, recognizing the signs in your team and then getting curious, but we can do that with ourselves too. And if you think about like, what are my own warning signs that I am over indexing on everybody else to the neglect of myself? And they might be physical things, like I might notice that I'm, more tired than usual. That's a pretty typical one. But I also might notice that I'm more snippy, like at people. I have a shorter fuse. I might notice things like I'm saying no to things that I normally would say yes to, social things with friends or with family. And that's kind of an indicator to me that like I'm over indexing others to the neglect of myself. There might be work indicators. So having our own red flags and then practicing that curiosity with ourselves, we can do that just as much as any leader can do it with their team.
Right. And you bring up such great points, Ashley, because I think a lot of times as a leader, there's so much pressure if you think about on the P&L that you're managing, the revenue stream. And then let's say you have half a dozen salespeople or a dozen salespeople, or you have regional managers, regional markets, and the numbers are so much that you kind of feel like, oh, well, it's impossible. I can't possibly know everything about everybody who's working on it. So the only way I can evaluate is by looking at the pipeline and the activity and looking at performance and how many meetings people have a week and what's converting to, what the conversion ratio is, what's converting to revenue. And that's where I say, okay, again, going back to hit the pause button because it's almost like you're letting the train get away from you, right? So you
Mhm.
need to kind of pull it back because there's always time to pause and think about the people around you. And I got into the habit of asking them, "What are you doing for fun this weekend? Do you have any activities planned? Are you still working out?" Like, I remember that you were doing, the insanity workout, or you were doing PX90, like, whatever. I would ask the questions to make sure that they weren't, like, stopping everything in their life, and I didn't know about it. But it took a long time, and I have to tell you, you need people in your life that keep you grounded. For me, every time that I would kind of I'm gonna stop working out. I just don't have time. There's too much on my plate. I can't go out to dinner anymore because I have too much on my plate. My sister and my husband, great sanity check, and they would reel me back in saying, "Okay, you're going down, you're going down that rabbit hole again of where you're overworking and then you start wondering, are you really overproducing? No, you're kind of like just spiraling."
Yeah, absolutely. Having those people who are checks and balances who will be, brutally yet compassionately honest with us, 100%. And I love that you bring in those little anecdotes about the team and the people who you were leading. And sometimes it is a lot. I mean, even as you were rattling off all the all the technical kind of metrics side, I was like, "Oof," I can feel the heaviness as you're rattling it off. But there's something really life-giving too, from a leadership standpoint, about having those relationships and, feeding into those relationships, and the research backs this as well, that there's a lot of, benefit to our own, emotional and mental well-being as leaders to giving back to others. And that doesn't just have to be like volunteering somewhere. When you are in a leadership position and you are creating the relationships like you're talking about, you are giving it back to those folks who you're leading, and that's hugely rewarding. And if you need to like take notes and jot things down about people, oh, they were in this workout class, or they just had a new niece join the family or something along those lines, take the notes. Like people don't care. They just care that you are spending the time to connect with them.
Great points. Thank you, Ashley.